Ibrahim Traoré's voice cut through the crowded debate hall, calm but commanding. His words hung in the air like thunder after lightning. Karoline Leavitt, seated across from him, froze for the briefest of seconds. The audience leaned forward. Cameras zoomed in, and then silence. In that moment, the young African leader didn't just rebut an opponent, he exposed her argument so completely that the entire room fell quiet. The stage had been set for one of the most anticipated debates of the year. On one side was Karoline Leavitt, the fiery American conservative known for her sharp tongue and fearless defense of traditional values. At just 27, she had already been dubbed one of the rising stars of right-wing politics, armed with confidence and a willingness to go on the attack. On the other side was Ibrahim Traoré, Africa's youngest head of state, a revolutionary soldier turned president, admired by some and feared by others. To his supporters, he represented dignity, sovereignty, and independence. To his critics, he was too radical, too uncompromising. The organizers had framed the debate as a dialogue about democracy, sovereignty, and global leadership. But from the moment the lights came on, it was clear. This was more than a debate. It was a clash of worlds, of generations, of two radically different visions of leadership. The first exchanges went as expected. Leavitt delivered fiery soundbites about American exceptionalism, about order and stability, about what she saw as the failures of young leaders who challenged Western norms. She spoke quickly, confidently, pausing only to let the audience applause swell. Traoré, however, remained calm. He listened intently, rarely interrupting. When he spoke, it was measured, deliberate, grounded in experience. Where she drew on ideology, he drew on, lived struggle. Where she leaned on rehearsed lines, he leaned on raw conviction, the tension built with every exchange. And then, Leavitt made her move. "Mr. Traoré," she said, her voice sharp, "you talk about sovereignty and independence, yet your own country struggles with instability and poverty. Isn't it hypocritical to lecture us on leadership when you can't even secure your own people's future?" Gasps rippled across the room. It was a bold strike, crafted to corner him, to paint him as naïve, even unqualified. The audience braced for a defensive response. But Traoré didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned into the microphone, his expression unshaken, his tone even. "Miss Leavitt," he began, "you confuse difficulty with hypocrisy. Struggle is not hypocrisy. It is the price of progress. You mock instability as weakness. But instability is the scar of liberation. My people fight every day to free themselves from systems your country helped impose. We build from nothing, with nothing because our dignity demands it. If your argument cannot survive that truth, then perhaps it was never strong to begin with." The room fell silent. No applause, no interruptions, just silence. Because everyone knew they had just witnessed a turning point, clips of the moment flooded social media within minutes. Number Traoré exposes and number Leavitt silent trended worldwide. Viewers replayed the exchange again and again, Leavitt leaning forward, Traoré delivering his quiet but devastating rebuttal, the silence that followed louder than any cheer. Commentators called it a masterclass in composure. Supporters of Traoré hailed him as the voice of dignity in a global arena. Even Leavitt's allies admitted privately that her attack had backfired. Because in politics, silence can be the loudest reaction, and that night, Ibrahim Traoré made silence his victory. The debate continued, but nothing could overshadow that moment. Leavitt pushed on, her lines growing sharper. But the audience wasn't the same. The silence that had greeted Traoré's clapback had shifted the room. He wasn't just participating anymore, he was commanding. And that's what made it unforgettable. It wasn't the volume of his words, it was the weight of them. Words grounded in history, sacrifice, and the lived experience of a people who refused to be defined by others. By the time the debate ended, the narrative was already set. Ibrahim Traoré had exposed more than just a weak argument. He had exposed the fragility of rhetoric when confronted by reality. Fabest CTA beyond truth style. If that moment left you speechless, you're not alone. Ibrahim Traoré's Clapback didn't just silence the room, it shook the narrative. And here on Beyond Truth, we go deeper into the moments that redefine power, politics, and the future of nations. So if you're ready for the stories behind the soundbites, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the bell so you never miss the next confrontation, the next revelation, the next truth beyond the headlines. Because on Beyond Truth, we don't just cover the debate, we uncover the story the world needs to hear.